Hey, so we got a little update on the blower situation. Contacted someone on Practical Machinist, and they had a spare that they were selling from a machine they were getting. So I got the housing, and as a bonus, got the cast aluminum adapter plate and another filter. So I just hooked it up to power and had a little issue with the motor rotation. So this is not the correct motor for this style of blower housing. So I had to order another one from Granger. So we'll be putting that on here and bringing the camera for a little close up, and I can bump the power on and show you the rotation and what's going on with that. Alright, we're just going to do a little bump test with this so you'll be able to see the rotation. This is the way it should rotate, and this is the way this one is rotating. And you know, it's a pretty common problem with blowers. A lot of times the motor goes bad and somebody orders a replacement and just doesn't realize they come in two orientations. So I kind of have this kind of rigged with just wire nuts. I do have a ground there in case something goes bad, although it's just not really technically the right way to test this as far as safety and stuff. It's more or less safe enough for me. So this is not an educational series by any means. So here we go. I'm just going to give a little quick shot of power. You can see that it's rotating backwards. So it's not a big deal. These motors aren't too expensive. And mainly I just wanted the housing because finding this exact dimension where it bolts up is somewhat difficult. I went through basically all the major manufacturers and nobody had one that was exactly this size, so I was either going to have to widen this or change the shape, and I really just wanted one that would bolt up. So luckily I ran across a forum member that was selling this. Squim Tool, I believe was his name, and had to look up how to pronounce it. There's an entire video on how to pronounce the name of the town. So I'm not going to bore anybody with the details of how to put this motor on, but there's a set screw in there. You pop the fan out. There's two nuts that hold it on, and you just pop the new motor on and call it good. I had originally toyed with the idea of mounting an axial flow fan, which it would probably work, but I was looking at the pressure drop. These screens, brand new, will drop about 0.1 inches of water, and as it clogs up, of course, it gets worse. These become very inefficient when they're restricted, and so it's a great air handler. It moves a lot of CFM. This is about 230 CFM. However, for any sort of forced air situation, it's just not ideal. And so that's why you go with a centrifugal unit, because they're a little more efficient when it's pushing against a restriction. Alright, so we got our new motor here. So this guy is a permanent split capacitor. It's reversible. You just swap these leads around and go counterclockwise or clockwise. It's 1/20th horsepower, 3,000 RPM. It's got a 5/16 shaft, which is too large for the bore of this blower wheel. So there's a bushing in there, so either it's going to get knocked out and that hole is going to magically be 5/16, or I'll have to drill it and ream it for 5/16. So anyway, I'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens. Alright, managed to get the motor installed. There it is, hanging out back there. And got the bushing taken out. There's the guy right there. So came out pretty easily, not too bad. And the wheel's a little wobbly, but I think it was that wobbly before, actually, because that's how I was checking the tach. Alright, so we're going to fire it up and see what this one's spinning at. there we go. That's spinning with some authority. About 1957. That's blowing through the filter. Putting out a good flow of air. Not too extreme. Probably 200 CFM or so. Maybe a little higher. So I think that's going to work out pretty nicely. Alright, I've had it running for a while now. Just checking the temperature here. And it's topping out around a little over 140. And this is a 40C ambient Class B, so that's a 80-degree temperature rise. So it's good for 120 Celsius. We can switch over to Celsius. So we're 60 now, so got plenty of headroom. I think even being enclosed in the machine, this thing will be doing just fine. And taking a current measurement, so we're right at 1 amp. And there's not a lot of headroom on the transformer for powering the 120 volt circuit. So I think this right here will just squeak in. I think the original motor was spec'd at around 0.8 amps from the best I can decipher reading on the internet. Man, I can hear the fearmongers now talking about how I'm going to ruin the brushes on my DC motor by overcooling the lathe now. So I'm going to get it installed and wired in and fire up the lathe, and we'll see how effective it's cooling, and also how annoying the sound is. It's really not too bad. I think inside enclosed it'll be fairly quiet. I just want to give a slight mention. Pay no attention to the disaster that is my workbench, and everyone out there that has a garage, don't let this happen to you. So sometimes I only get 15 minutes out of here, and it's just enough time to make a mess. Definitely not time to do anything productive, and definitely no time for cleaning up. So you know how it is. You need a bolt, you need a screw, you got to dump everything out. You're working on your long-term project, and then somebody dumps off a printer and you got to take it apart, and you get some packages in the mail, and pretty much it looks like this after a couple of weeks. So every now and then I got to just dedicate some time to come out here and straighten out this workbench, and it's just always in a state of chaos. Here you can see where the blower mounts inside the lathe. There's a little cutout right here, and so that's where that plate goes with the adapter, and the blower kind of hangs out right in here, and I have a feeling it's going to hit that. That box is in a little bit different spot on this motor than the original motor, so hopefully that won't be any trouble. And it's just pinched on the casting with bars. Here's a similar setup right here. So there's little bosses on the back of that aluminum casting, and those just tighten down onto it. Yep, just as I thought. It won't fit. I'm hitting the pecker head on the motor. I need about an extra 2 inches. There's a joke there somewhere. So now it comes down to putting an axial fan in or changing this motor out. And I don't think it's a matter of changing out the pecker head or putting an elbow or anything. I don't have any clearance back here. The bottom of this blower housing is just maybe 1 inch above the top part of the motor here. So I don't think there's any way to adapt that to work. I mean, yeah, I could take this off and run the wires out and kind of tie them off back here, but prefer not to do that. So I think it's going to be the hard way, or the harder way. Alright. Awesome. Alright, the light's kind of crappy, but just going to measure how far back. So a rough 5 1/4 inches to the pecker head on the replacement motor, and we'll go over to the original motor, see what it says. Alright, here's the General Electric, and I mean that's at a 45-degree angle, so that's as far forward as that can possibly be, and we're at 9.5 inches, so there's my problem. But at least I know this will physically allow everything to fit. Alright, looks like I still have a little bit of work ahead of me. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull this motor out because I got to check and see where that noise is coming from, a little clank on sudden rotational speed changes. And so that way I can check that out, probably put the other motor in, get the blower installed, and have the lathe running reliably after that point. Or at least until the next failure. So hopefully I'll report back with some good news, and I'll see you next time.